Hi Michelle, how are you?
Hi, how are you? Very good, thanks.
Not
Nice.
too bad. It's quite a change in the weather, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a bit miserable lately.
I know, I know.
Last last week.
But you're situated, where are you? Like right beside the Barbican, aren't you?
Yeah. So Moorgate area, which is really nice. Um,
Oh, you've got such a view. I've seen from your Instagram post, your views are absolutely gorgeous.
yeah, quite lucky actually, because also, big windows, lots of daylight, so
Yeah, definitely.
it makes it easier to be staying at home.
And I thought it would be really cool to talk to you today about the topic of minimalism, because I know that's pretty much what you have as one of your statement lines on your background and on your inspiration behind your brand. Um,
Yeah.
so I thought because I thought I'd like to start first of all with the fact that you've got an architecture background.
Hmm.
Would you say that that is where the whole it got that's what got the ball rolling, that side of things, where I guess you just look at the definitions, the real details of each design that you do.
Yeah, I'd say definitely, maybe even without realizing, sort of the products that I design are influenced by my background in architecture. I think sort of when you're studying architecture, functionality is sort of, function follows form, these kind of theories that you sort of absorb maybe without consciously trying to apply that to, say, leatherwork.
Hmm.
But it's definitely had sort of influenced the way that I design items. So sort of functionality being the key driver, and then sort of trying to boil that down to its um, simplest form,
Hmm.
even though, like, I mean, that sounds sort of straightforward, but I guess in practice it's, design is never really like finished per se, so it's there's always a risk of over design, which
Hmm.
is not always necessary to, I guess, a function of something. So yeah, definitely has influenced me. And I guess in terms of architecture, sort of my sort of favorite buildings or architects are those that are sort of very like simple in form, kind of, a minimalist sort of architecture or design that sort of exposes like raw materials, and sort of emphasizes that side of things. So
I like the fact that you brought the functionality into it as well, because I guess it's I like to, I think when I look at your accessories, like there's like a lovely clutch that you have. It's very minimalistic, but I think the more minimalistic it is, the more you can see the purpose, the more you can see the function, rather than it being like some big, and you can see the detail as well. That's what I think as well. I like to see the minimalist side of things. You can see the real intricate detail that goes into the craftsmanship of that piece, as opposed to some big floral printed clutch bag with some gold or crystallized a button attachment or something that I
yeah,
get, even though that may be on trend, I think it disguises some of the real professional detail that is actually put into the process and the production of that piece. What would you
yeah,
say?
yeah. No, I definitely see what you mean. In terms of kind of keeping forms really simple, so that sort of the details are where you draw your the details are things that draw your attention.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I'd say that is definitely one thing that applies to sort of buildings as well, which maybe where it comes from is that, um, if you focus on a form and the actual material that's made out of, then the details are so important, and they're the things that you really have to get right, um, like when designing a building. And then in terms of leatherwork, another thing is that it's the character of the leather that I actually really want to show, I guess, in these pieces. So you know something, don't necessarily want to design that just distracts too much from from the actual sort of raw material, because for me that is sort of why I started working the leather in the first place, is because of its unique character to like change and age as it's being used.
And how is it dyed? Because it's all like a natural dyeing process, isn't it?
So it's the leather is I use various leathers from sort of Belgian tanneries and Italian tanneries at the moment. So the leather that I use is vegetable tanned, which means that the process that it goes from sort of being a raw hide into leather that we can use is through using tannins from vegetable matter. So like bark, sort of chestnut, sort of vegetable matter that is basically pulverized and then mixed with the sort of leather in order to create leather that we can use in our products. So this type of tanning, it's like the oldest method of tanning leather, and it's also the most environmentally friendly because it doesn't involve chemicals. So because it's all natural materials, it does take a long time. So it takes months as opposed to days to get a piece, like one hide from a raw hide into the leather that we can use for products.
Wow, that's something in itself. I mean, I only recently discovered about natural dyeing, really, more so because I watched, there was something on, I think it was Toast. They did a live stream online, and there was an artist on there, and she only worked with natural dyes, and those were things such as like beetroot, turmeric.
Oh, I think I saw that as well. The block print.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
I found it absolutely. And she uses potatoes to do.
Yeah. It was great.
And it's such a talent that she, like, but it's such a niche talent, and that's what she works on, doesn't she? And I think the natural side of things is even more enchanting because of the natural bits and pieces that you're within easy reach to and that you could use yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a huge sort of like more sort of knowledge and exposure to natural dye now with
Yeah. And I think through, I'd be interested if you'd agree, but I think through that feature that you add on, or that you pride yourself on, through keeping the minimal essence to your produce, you can really show that off more. And I think then the customer, whether they take that on board, but then they can interpret that in their own way and adjust it to suit their style and kind of reflect upon that. And I guess that's what minimalism offers, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think with an item that's sort of minimalist in its design, there's more options for pairing it with sort of other sort of styles. It's not too designed to
No,
use them.
it's timeless. I think it offers timelessness as well. And I think it is like you've got, this is your area of pristine of focus, and I think it really enables, I think kind of focusing on that really enables you to shine and build upon that. I guess, and how would you say how do you keep that minimal tone to a collection?
I think it's just sort of, again, just boiling everything down to sort of the simplest form it can be. I think also maybe from aesthetic point of view, I do use a lot of sort of geometries in my work. So sort of pure geometry, kind of keeping on that theme, which then just is just a very sort of clear form at the end of it, rather than being too busy or being too yeah, ornate, I guess.
I guess that, and that also in turn comes from your architecture background, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, I think so. And
Yeah.
I think I like haven't really thought about, like, you know, where this comes from, but then the more we discuss it and the more we talk about it, I'm definitely realizing that yeah, it's probably from those years of studying architecture, but it's very yeah.
Mm. It's like, for instance, like for my collection, the minimal tone. It's, I guess, because I want to keep that product as something that a customer will see as a piece they can combine with anything and everything that
Yeah.
they already have. That it doesn't have a dated look to it.
Mm.
It doesn't have a seasonal color or a seasonal fabric or a seasonal feel about it.
Yeah.
That would then immediately kind of, a customer would associate that being with spring, that being with summer, that being with autumn. Um, so yeah, I think, like as we were discussing earlier, I think it's the design um, purpose really behind each piece. So when it comes, because you've got things like such as bookmarks, you've got clutch bags. Did you kind of come to the idea that that was something really popular, or is that something that you've had from like feedback from customers, or when you've actually been at the markets, you've seen that those have been really hot sellers?
Yeah. So it's sort of a mixture, really. So I think when I was doing markets, definitely getting feedback from people, customers, was really helpful in sort of directing like the next product that I would sort of spend time on. But actually, sort of more recently, since we've been in lockdown, I mean, I think I just had to start pivoting towards items that were more useful at home,
Mm.
um, which is why you know, now got mouse mats and
Mm.
sort of bookmarks. So sort of, you know, working from home or reading at home, which is just what people are doing now. And I think there was sort of much less of a need um, for, like, say, clutch bags. I
Mm.
mean, yeah, it's a difficult one, really, because I think, you know, this year was supposed to originally at the beginning of the year had planned to um, really try to, like, push on, like, launch clutch bags and, you know, for wedding seasons and things, but obviously, you know, situations changed, so it's just a way of, like, kind of, yeah, pivoting to make more items suitable for working at home or
Mm.
using at home. And
Yeah.
I think people have responded well to that, and I think also people are kind of gifting more at the moment, because, you know, people can't, like, visit anymore, and I think, you know, people are being more conscious about where they're buying from, so um, sort of more aware of, like, independent brands and things. Have you found the same? Is your experience the same with that?
Yeah, yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, definitely. I think I've had a bit more interest in just the overall background of the of h.huna. I the, I think it's a case of the more interest that they've had in. I think that there's been quite a bit of interest in the knitwear. A lot of people they didn't really know that all the knitwear is seam free, which I like to. I don't necessarily really put out there, but I like it. I think it's just such. I like the feature of that because I like the effect that it has on the customer, that the amazement is there that, like, that was actually knitted as one whole piece, that actually
Right,
there's
yeah.
a process that actually has that in hand, a process that can actually just do the sleeve and the body and the neckline and the hem and the cuff, and but there's no like kind of piecing together and stitching together at the seams. Yeah, I
I
think
didn't know that was I didn't know that was possible with
I
knitwear.
know. Yeah, it just it's yet to still get my head around the whole process and how they actually perfect that. Um, but that's kind of what I've had in regards to my, like, either people following on social or people on like the newsletters I've sent out, and they've like actually responded with even like inquiries on some of those topics that have been sent. So I guess it's kind of like a time for learning, really, I think.
Yeah,
And like even things, or like new opportunities that people have said. I mean, numerous people I'm sure have done wardrobe clear outs by now.
yeah.
It's
A spring clean.
spring clean, and I think that's probably what's got some of the cogs, the wheels turning, that they're now starting to think, oh, but so we're coming into summer, I'm not going to wear those pieces that I've got down from the attic, so what is the next thing, what is the next
Yeah,
step? um
I think with your
Go on.
pieces so like versatile that I mean, and I think this whole sort of movement towards kind of ethically produced and slow fashion, where you want to be investing in pieces that you're going to be able to use
Mm,
for a long period of time, that are going to actually last a long time, years, not just one season.
yeah.
Um, so I do feel that there's this sort of shift, which I think a lot of people maybe in our bubble already,
Mm,
like sort of buy into, or like, you know, adhere to. But I think it is becoming sort of more um, general public, sort of more exposed to it now, just through, you know, shared messaging on,
mm,
you know, social media, fashion revolution,
yes, yeah.
um, sort of bring it to light, and sort of people asking questions about what's the supply chains of their um, fashion brands and things.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. What with everything, I think, where like fast fashion chains have had their new season goods, they're still at the port, or they've just stopped production altogether, um, because they don't want to be out of season by the time that things do come, and that's hitting the headlines and people are hearing
Yeah,
this. They're just starting to think, oh gosh, what I've been a part of this, or I haven't known about this in
yeah,
previous times. um, so I think, yeah, I think the manufacture also comes into the whole, I guess, the story behind a product. People now want to know a little bit more about that story, don't they? They want to know a bit more about what has been in the build up to this piece, which I think with you is something you portray, because it's something, a profession that you already do. It's something that you do yourself. And I think, and where you've said before, like about the markets, and that you are actually at the markets and people can actually see you working on it, that's, I think, something that's really
yeah,
engaging, because they stop and they take an interest and they want to see that profession in process.
yeah. I definitely found that sort of at market stores, when I was physically there, personalising in front of people, um, definitely that was sort of what got people's attention and made people think a bit more about, or just, yeah, people being interested in seeing something being made in front of them as kind of, and it actually just led to like a lot of really nice conversations with passers-by
Mm.
who wanted to know more about the process. So I think there is, yeah, a want, a want for people to understand more about where their items are coming from and how they're being made.
And then do you think that this may, I mean, it may, like, because it's so hot at the moment, but I hope it will be something that will also be, it will continue on, say, X amount of months or years down the line. But do you think this would encourage a minimalist outlook on our wardrobes, on our buying, on our habits, I guess?
Yeah, I think,
I mean, I guess
you know,
it's like the
that
appreciation for those smaller things, really. People, where they've actually had the time at home, whether
yeah,
it be on furlough or working from home. You've,
yeah,
I think, I don't know about you, but I have actually noticed whether it, like when I'm walking or I'm doing things at home, there is that, you're noticing that much more that you've always been oblivious to, because you've got your head so far into
Yeah,
or other bits and pieces that are going on around you.
I guess in general, maybe people are having like a slower pace of life. I don't know if that's fair to say. I think it depends on everyone's individual situation, but for me, definitely, it's sort of having more time to focus on um, things that I want to focus on, and like going into more depth. You know, that could even be like translating into shopping habits. So, kind of doing more research around what I'm buying, not just
Yes.
impulse buying, or feeling under time pressure. Is yeah, just being able to take the time to absorb what is
Yeah.
being shared, shown.
And I guess where you potentially, like going back to the whole wardrobe clear outside of things, I guess it makes you analyze the situation. It makes you
Yeah,
analyze who you are, maybe. It makes you kind of reflect on if you have a style identity, or if you have a certain liking to a product that you always, every season or every year, you always purchase, or throughout every season you will always wear, or you will always use, or you buy
yeah,
those handbags for certain occasions, but you've always got your go-to handbag that you always have. And
yeah,
that might slowly start to kind of like ping a light bulb on, that people actually then start to say, this is what I identify, that I like to buy, I like to wear, I like to use. um, and then it might, I guess, yeah, there's hope, I guess, that it's something that will start to kind of flow as a natural process with customers and or people
yeah.
in the public in general.
I think definitely sort of the impact of sort of being at home is made us realize that we can actually live with a lot less. I mean,
Mm.
than previous. I mean, um, so it's like that famous quote from Vivienne Westwood: "It's about buying less but choosing well." I
Yeah.
think that's something to really kind of live by, I guess. Yeah,
And there's been quite a few documentaries that I've actually picked up on, one being The Minimalist, which I've seen on
yeah,
Netflix. You've seen that?
yeah, yeah. I watched it a
No,
while ago. It was
that
quite extreme.
was, yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Literally, they were living out of a tiny, minute suitcase, and
yeah,
that's their way. But in so many ways, there were interesting facts, weren't there? Some of the
yeah,
things they were discussing or they were reviewing, and how purchasing behaviour has hiked up over the years.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely an eye opener.
And I think fast fashion previously used to be 4 seasons a year,
Hmm.
say in the UK, but now it's like the seasons have changed, and it's new fashions every week.
Yes, yeah,
I mean, not sustainable as a
I know. I know. I think that I'm hoping there is change on the horizon, though. What with that Gucci making their recent announcement, and that maybe people might start to follow suit. But then you've got those other ones. You've got Boohoo. You've got all of those. Well, even maybe potentially ASOS, but they're always refreshing week
yeah.
after week, aren't they? And
There's
how
like all these new styles being added, but
yeah, and because that's what they're known for, how
mm,
would they veer away from something like that?
I think, well, I don't know, but it sounds like their sort of model is based on volume production and volume consumption, or hyper consumerism. So um, yeah, I think there's the question of fast fashion is very affordable, like it's very cheap, and
Mm.
how these places offering items at that price is um, something that sort of consumers are more aware of now and asking themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, definitely agree with you that. And then I guess like kind of one of my last things, which I'm really interested with someone from an architecture side of background, do you have? What would be your what or who would be your inspiration? Would you say? Does anything jump to
Um,
mind?
I think, yeah, so my background in architecture has definitely influenced sort of design aesthetic that I like or appreciate. Um, I guess in terms of minimalism, definitely name architects like John Pawson, Tano Ando spring to mind,
Hmm.
Mies van der Rohe. So, I mean, yeah, all of these sort of architects have definitely influenced my take on design, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I think mine would be I've got like you, I've got numerous, but I
Yeah,
think I'm a mix between either well primarily it's like Scandinavian, but then there is like something where I've got a bit of Japanese.
yeah,
I've read
definitely.
a book and it was about the book of Ikigai or something like that. And it's just it's their way of life, their perception of things, how they portray what what they buy, what they do for their career, and
Mhm.
their outlook. And that's, I think, just reading those bits and pieces and just seeing how they're like, and these are like one of the eldest living people in the world, and they work like two jobs, but they're passionate about their jobs, and they still have that enjoyment and fulfillment without kind of overindulging and pressurizing themselves.
Okay, that
So
sounds like an interesting read.
it is. It's Ikaigai,
Okay,
and that's yeah. It's just like their outlook. But that's just something really interesting to me, and that's kind of adding to my inspiration as well.
yeah, I think there's something really sort of beautiful about Japanese aesthetics. I'm reading this book at the moment called In Praise of Shadows.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I'd recommend that. I mean, it's yeah, the author has written this sort of prose about Japanese aesthetics, and it's a really beautiful book as well. So
Oh, well, definitely. Yeah, that's definitely added to my. Well, I do have the time, so I can add that to
yeah,
my book list.
yeah,
Oh, okay. Well, I think that's everything really. It was really good talking to you because I have been really interested in your kind of because I love the detail that you put behind every piece. Like you've got things such as like hand burnishing all involved in the
yeah,
development of the materials, the leather that you use to make your pieces. And I think it's but yet you still keep to the minimalist design. And I think that's something that's so intricate and talented that I thought you would be a perfect person to kind of chat to on your
no,
perception.
thank you for like inviting me to sort of do this talk. It's been really kind of, and it's given me an opportunity to reflect also on my own like sort of design sensibilities, and yeah,
Yeah.
which has been really good.
Oh, it's been brilliant talking to you.
You too. Thanks so much.
No worries. And yeah, we'll be catching up anytime soon, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.